Welcome to the Sassy Autism Mom podcast, where we get you resourced for the many experiences and obstacles you may encounter as a special needs family or caretaker. Please relax and get comfy as we deep dive into today's episode. Welcome, come on in. I have some exciting news to share with everyone. On April 2nd, which is Worldwide Autism Awareness Day, I am launching a new blog and a podcast. I am changing that to Sassy Autism Mom, just because, well, that's me. So we're going to have things still like resources, tips, things like that. But I'm also going to be having a lot of you come on and visit me on the show and talk about your kids and their struggles and successes. So I'm really excited for this to get started, one mom to another. And today I'm really excited because one of the things, you all know Jagger by now, he really struggles with is some of his ADL skills. And I'm so excited because today from Adapt and Taste, I have Andressa Costa with me. And I am so excited for her to come and hang out with us and tell us a little bit about her program. So thank you for coming in,
Thank you
Andressa.
for having me,
Yeah.
Sassy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to share a silly story with you just because you do cooking. And I'm the mom, like, I'm not a great cook. I mean, I can cook if I have to, but I'm not really good at it. And so when he was younger, I used to have Jagger go with these like healthy kind of meals. It was like called, I would think it was called kids cuisine. I don't know, something like that. But it was like an organic, healthy one that instead of like potatoes, they had cauliflower, and the chicken nuggets were made with like cauliflower and different things like that. So he absolutely loved them. He thought those were the greatest things in the world. So when he'd go to do the microwaves at his programs and at school, everything was 3 minutes. So it was easy to master that skill, with ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis. So that's really important, as you know.
Yes.
And it was sort of funny because one day something happened and his lunch wasn't able to be cooked. And so they gave him a hot dog instead. So, of course, he walks over, puts it on a plate, puts it in the microwave. And instead of putting 30 seconds, he puts 3 minutes. And nobody thinks to tell him that, right? So he'll say, P.S. to the story, boom, at 45 seconds. Hot dog was everywhere. They had to clean all that. It was like kind of a hot mess. But I mean, it's so important for them to have cooking skills, so many ADL skills, but especially cooking, because you want to nourish the body. I mean, as after time, kids can usually make sandwiches and things like that, but they're not always healthy for them.
Yes.
And being able to make actual real food from scratch, like you're doing in your program, is so critical. So can you tell me a little bit more about the program and what inspired it?
Yeah, so the inspiration for this program came from my daily challenges with my kids. So I'm a mom of a special needs child, Arthur, who is 7 years old, and a typical daughter who is 4 years old, but both of them have food selectivity. So it was a challenge every day during meal preparation or during sitting at the table, always very stressful. So I thought, why not? So I started looking for ideas over the internet. How could I make this time better with the kids and make them eat that specific other kinds of foods, right? And using ABA, as you mentioned. So then I said, why shouldn't I then make a program for kids in the same situation than my son? So then I decided to work and created this Adapt and Taste program. So to give you a little bit of context, I'm a volunteer at the Special Needs Ministry on my church. So I weekly have contact with kids under autism spectrum or other special needs at the church. So I thought, maybe we use this idea and the idea of cooking class, adapted cooking class, on this environment, and you can then offer this kind of class for these kids. So that's why I came with the Adapted and Taste.
That's amazing, and it's so important. I mean, ADL skills are so critical
Yes.
for kids, and especially as they're getting into adult age. And a lot of parents want them to be in group homes or be living on their own, and maybe shared living or even completely independent.
Yes.
And if they don't know how to cook, You can't go to McDonald's every day,
Yes,
as good as it is. Yummy,
yes.
but no, not
Yes,
a
and
good choice.
the thing that because we have like monthly meetings with the volunteers, maybe we can talk about more about this later.
Yeah.
But I always start saying, what is the motivation for this? So I do like a full 1 hour class for the volunteers every month. So it's always the same picture, is the brain of a special needs child. So I always start saying, why are we doing this kind of program for special needs children? Because of course a program like this where we teach cooking skills, which actually we are, the main focus is teaching ADL, but why do we offer this just to special needs children? Because of course all of the children would benefit from a class like that. And then I start explaining about the executive function that is impaired in autistic or special needs children, and that we need to teach them everything, how to plan for a meal, how to do it, how to know how to stop it. So, and by teaching this, you're not just teaching cooking skills, you're teaching ADL.
Yeah, you're teaching real life
Yes,
skills.
yeah, real life
And even
skills,
like
yes.
something as simple as maybe pulling out, and I don't know if you do this, like a flyer for
Yes.
like, say, Stop and Shop or Hannaford's or wherever you're
Yes,
going,
yes, yes.
and really look at it like, okay, we want to be healthy, we want to stay under this budget, da 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 da
Yeah,
da.
make healthy
And it really
choices.
allows you to really pull that into the program, and I know you want to evolve this. I mean, I know right
Yes,
now it's for younger kids, but I know you want
yes,
to evolve it.
of
And that's
course.
really important as they get older to be able to not only, cook and have these skills, but also to plan and budget
To
is
plan,
such a big
yes,
piece of it.
yes,
So I love that, you're doing, things like that and kind of stepping up
yeah,
to that more,
yeah.
more involved in the actual program
Yeah,
itself.
I dream about this project like every day, basically. And of course, I envision so many good things coming. But right now, as you mentioned, we are at the beginning of the project. So we're starting with meal preparations and some other social skills.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's baby steps at the end of the day. And the important thing, which I know like people may not really understand what applied behavioral analysis is, but one of the biggest pieces, I mean, it's a way of obviously collecting data,
Yes.
and being able to kind of create programs around it. But one of the core elements of it is task analysis. And what that is for us, it's as simple as, okay, I want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But when you really step back and you kind of think of all the steps, like first you have to go to the kitchen, then you have to open the drawer, then you have to get out a knife, then you have to get the jar of peanut butter and the jelly and the bread, and you have to put them down on either a plate or a napkin or however you're going to make it and spread it. And they're just like all these different steps.
Yes.
And so what applied behavioral analysis does is, and I'm just saying this for people who don't, is you're looking at where are they independent, where are they not independent? Are they more independent at the end of the analysis or at the top? So are you going to back chain it or front chain it? And there's just a lot of technicality to it.
Yes.
But I just want people to kind of know what that is because,
Yeah.
oftentimes as special needs parents, we kind of throw a lot around terms because we're in the middle of acronym soup all the time. And some people don't understand. So that's why I'm going through it. But that's what your program is really
Yes.
kind of, that's probably, one of the cornerstones
Yes,
of it.
it is. Yes, as you know, as a like a special needs parent, you know that our life is always filling forms and saying like where your kids are and in each skill that they have. So we started by first getting to know the kids and know what kind of skills they have, not only cooking skills, but also social skills. And then based on that, we have the support of an ABA or a BCBA, which is, let's say, ABA
Yes.
supervisor for people that do not know it.
Correct.
And then she helps us to develop the program that fits to that specific kid, to work on the skills that he needs and a specific child needs.
Right, and also integrating them, I'm assuming, with one another, that if one
Yes,
person is lacking a skill and another person has that skill, probably pairing them together to
yes,
be able to kind of reinforce that. And that's also great for a kid's self-esteem because, it's hard always being the one having to receive the help. And sometimes if they're able to be in a role where they are a role model to someone who may
yes,
be a little bit further behind, it's really helpful for them just for
yes,
their own
for
self-esteem.
sure.
And at the age you're, working with at this stage, it's so important to have those like moments of, hey, I'm in charge, but also
Yes.
moments where, hey, I'm learning something too.
Yes, definitely. So the age range for this program is 6 to 12 years old. So, for example, we have a child who is 12 years old, and I deal with him more like a volunteer. Okay, come help me, come help your other friends. So it's nice because they feel proud of themselves. And this is also what we want to bring when you were teaching. At the beginning of every class, I always tell them, why are we here? Oh, then they say, oh, cake, strawberry. And I said, yeah, but like advancing a little bit is more than that. It's to show you that the table, it's a place where it's okay, you can be happy. It's not, and we know as parents of child with special needs that it can be a place where, or moments where we have a lot of stress and sometimes fighting. But what we want to show to them is that it can be a place where you can have fun with friends, with families. So it's important to bring them for also to participate and not only, oh, you are here just to learn. No, you are here also to teach your friend and to have good moments together.
Yeah, 100%. And food is so central
Yes.
to so many things we do in life. I mean, when you really think about it, like going out to dinner for a birthday, if you're going to a buffet for something, if you're having like a cultural celebration, like, you're actually celebrating with the culture itself
Yes.
and you're learning how to cook the foods that are important for, like, say, a family reunion or what have you. Even something like a wedding. Like, food is such a big piece of all of our lives. I
Yes.
mean, not only do you need it obviously to sustain your energy and all that, but it's just such a big piece, especially I feel here in America. It's just so many celebrations are centered
Yes,
so
definitely.
around it.
Yeah.
And people are always looking for the coffee and,
Yeah.
a little snack or something when they
Yeah.
go to a meeting, like just anything that is really important for them to have these like splinter skills and what have you, like you're saying, and really understand that a table is about connection.
Yes,
It's
connection.
about food,
That's
but
it.
it's about connection. And
Connection.
like you said, the struggle, like especially like my son was very selective with his eating too. And oh my God, it was so hard. Like I literally remember being in Disney and the only thing at that point he was eating was macaroni. And the only place that had it was a Pinocchio house in the Magic
Oh
Kingdom.
my gosh.
And of course, that's like way on the other side from where we were. And like trying to get him over there and then having to stand in a 40-minute line because the queues are so long. And you take these things for granted. And the fact you have a program like this that is introducing them to new stuff and they're doing it in a fun and supportive way and with other
Yes.
friends. And a lot of times when they see their friends eat something, they're more likely to try it than if we say, oh, the green beans are good for you. And the
Yes.
friend's like, I love green beans. They're going to be like, oh, I love green beans
Yeah.
too. And they
Yes.
kind of want to, hang out with their friend and, be on that same wavelength. So,
Yes.
what you're doing is not just, like you said, about cooking food and all
Yes.
that kind of
Yes.
stuff. It's those
Yes.
connections. So tell me some of your inspirational stories, like, throughout
Yeah.
this. I know you just started in November.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
think
yeah.
I think the one inspiration story came even before that. So when my son was 3 years old, we were invited to a Thanksgiving celebration at my boss's house. It was my first time here in Massachusetts. I needed to make this connection. I mean, of course, was also an important celebration, but I was so afraid. My son was diagnosed when he was 2, and it still was everything very new to me. I was not feeling very confident going outside. But then I said, oh my gosh, I need to go there to this celebration. And then I started working with his BCBA through ABA skills that could help him. And the day that we arrived there, although I was still, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I did not know what to expect. And then he sat at the table, placed the napkin here and ate. And more than that, he had fun. So he was like, oh, I know that. Like, this is like he was having fun. And we were, oh my gosh, what a present. So this was like the first, so I knew that after that, if we use the right techniques, the right setting, and if you give them the possibility to go outside and do, because as a mom, maybe you've been through this too. When you just get the diagnosis, it's so difficult for you to go outside. Oh, and then for so many times, my son lost opportunities to go outside because I was afraid of his behavior. But on that day, everything changed. And then I started thinking about this, but it was just now, 4 years later, that this memory was still in my head.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, with the right techniques and helping these kids, yeah, maybe their other families can also go to Thanksgiving celebration as I did, and accept invitations to go celebrate Christmas, and or even go to restaurants that can be a challenge for a special needs family.
Yep.
So I think this was one of the stories that I have on my mind. But exactly about the program. So we have 10 kids, and we have some of them are nonverbal. And one of the kids that it's verbal but not functional. So he was very agitated on the first class and running, and we did not know if he was paying attention, yes or no. He was able to do some of the things, but not all of them. But then 1 week later, when he saw me at the church, he looked at me and said, Andressa, cooking. And then
Oh my God, I just got
crying,
chills.
crying. And I told his mom, and she said, I even don't know how he knows your name, because we usually call each other, oh, this is like the teacher, or because the kids are from Brazil, most part of these kids. I mean, they were born here, but their families in Brazil. So you call people tia, like tia, aunt in Spanish, in English. But he said my name, and he said cooking. So this for me was rewarding. So even though I thought he was not paying attention, he was there.
Yeah, because you inspired him.
Yes.
That's so huge. And I want to ask this correctly, okay? Yes. I do have a question for you. So as a creator and an advocate for neurodiversity, how do you envision the future of inclusive projects like Adapt and Taste, obviously? How can they make like a broader impact on society and fostering like more inclusion in the community as a whole? Like, what are your visions of that?
Yeah, I think, thank you for the question. So I think that the programs like this is just the beginning. But one thing that I wanted, and I always say this when I talked about this project, is that this started from the desire of a mom to do something different for his son and for the community. So sometimes I know how frustrated we are when we are looking for programs for our kids, and we are like, oh, they would not accept my kid. But it was the desire of a mom that wanted to change the life of her kid, that is going to impact the community. So what I envision is having more and more parents or people that are or family members that have special needs loved ones working in projects like that, and open the other community minds about, yeah, it's possible. You just need to adapt a little bit. That's why I chose this name, Adapt and Taste. You can still taste, you can still try new things, but first adapt.
Yep.
And it's not that difficult.
No.
So that's why when I envision programs like this, I envision this being just the beginning, and seeing more and more programs like that, because the more that the community will know about projects like that, maybe I could have this. Or maybe people that already have other kinds of programs for typical kids, although of course people do not say, oh, this is just for typical kids, but it starts wondering, and if I have some kids under special needs, what should I do? Looking for more information. So this is how I envision programs like this in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think it's great that it is something like, especially for us here, it's kind of local. And I think that's really important. I mean, I remember when he was little, I mean, we did speech therapy, and there weren't a lot of speech therapists except for in the hospitals. And I remember driving to Medfield or Medway like every Saturday.
Yes,
Or
I
like
can
anytime
imagine.
we wanted to do anything like therapeutic writing, we had to go out to Rutland or Lunenburg. Like, I mean, you just were just like, I felt like I was just, a chauffeur. I mean, we just constantly had to go here, there, and everywhere. And I love how you're saying this because, you know, parents, just because you have a special needs child, loved one, or you're caretaking or what have you, doesn't mean you don't also have skills that could potentially help them. And the adapting
Yes.
piece, like you said, it doesn't have to be a 180-degree pivot. It can be a 15-degree pivot
Yes.
to include them. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes programs get so like so wrapped up in all the things you're going to have to do to accommodate because you're looking at all these different pieces instead of
Yes,
like
yes,
looking at the individual. And I think
yes.
that's the most important thing is for them to have that moment where, that person's coming in, they're having that conversation with that family, looking at, what this child's or the adults, what their strengths are, what
Needs,
their
yes.
weaknesses are, all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of times programs can include people. It's
Yes.
just, it's hard.
Yes.
And, and it's even like, well, then just, if do you want me to send a special, a helper with him or
Yes.
something like that? Like it could be as easy as that kind of a pivot
Yes.
versus like them having to have their whole staff retrained or
Yes,
something. So
exactly.
I think just like these dialogues and narratives really need to
Yes,
stay open
yes,
as we kind of
definitely.
move, through that. So I know you brought me some show and tell stuff, and I love
Yes.
this. This is like my favorite part. So tell me what you have
Yeah,
here
so
and
first
how.
to show that we have a visual that we prepare for every child. You know how visuals are important for them.
Very much so.
So this is like, of course, it's just a draft, but we have like a story. Daisy goes to the culinary cooking class.
Yep.
So it's a whole story. And the kids have these before, of course, before the class.
Nice.
This is a manual that I created for the volunteers. So I'm not just talking to them about what to do, but I want them to understand. And as a physician scientist, I like science. So this is the two materials. And so our meetings or our classes are monthly. And then for every month we have a topic. So the first topic, we have a culinary topic and a topic for the class, the meeting.
Okay.
So the first one was you belong, because we wanted them to know that you are not here just to learn cooking skills. You want to go a little bit deeper on this conversation. So the first one was about, we use the rainbow
Oh, the food,
yeah,
the
the
fruit
food,
rainbow,
yes,
fruit
yes,
veggie rainbow,
for
yeah.
them. And then I started showing this to them, and we have these plushy fruits at the place where we start talking about. So the first class was about the strawberry and apple, and so they received a kit with food snap cards, flashcards for them to learn.
Nice.
And because when we start talking about each of these fruits, for example, you say, oh, you can eat a strawberry, but you can also, if you don't want to eat a strawberry, you can also eat maybe chipped strawberry, or you can drink a strawberry juice, and then you can show different presentations from the same thing. And so I put here like chips we had from apple and from strawberry. So you do this in the topic.
That's such a great idea.
This month, which is gonna happen on March 23rd, it's gonna be about pineapple.
Nice.
And then we have like a pineapple cup.
I love it. Cool pineapple.
Yes, yes.
Fidgets.
First fidget.
Who doesn't love
scissors.
fidgets?
And this one also, the fine apple. So it says, it's fine, you are fine, everything is fine.
So cute. Now, did you make those?
No,
Or
I
you buy
bought
them?
these,
Okay.
yes.
I was going to say, that's really
Yes.
impressive.
So we have these kits for them. At the end of the class, they receive this.
Okay.
So everything that we prepare also at the class, they can bring home.
Oh, nice.
So they have these like bags where they can place the food here. And because we don't do, so our class is divided in 4 parts. When they arrive, they do adapted physical activities to help them to calm down and also to increase the focus and attention.
yeah.
Then we do a round of washing hands, go back to the table, start the the culinary experience. Then after that, we do social skills. So because
Okay.
it's like 2 hours and a half, basically
Oh,
yes.
wow.
So we start talking about utensils, how to use everything. We have even the
My
hashish for
chopstick. I love it.
yeah. And at the end, we go back to the table and we have a meal celebration together because I always want them to remember table is a place for connecting, so having fun. So we always finish with this, and then the parents come and pick them up. So it's a drop-off program.
I
So
love
the
that.
parents at the same time can have time to go and do something else for them. Go to the movies, go to do something. They have their time to, yeah,
Yeah.
by
Take a
themselves.
shower.
Yes, take a shower, definitely.
Basically anything. That's amazing. I love that. So tell me a little bit more on how people can connect to your program and how they can help support it.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we just started this program after we got a grant from Autism Cooking last year. So we started in November, and right now we are still in a pilot phase, so that's why we don't have a web page yet.
Okay.
But we are looking for partners and people to support this project because right now we just can get 10 kids at a time per class because of course we don't have all the resources to help these kids or to cover all of everything involved on this class because this course has no cost for families. So if someone is interested in connecting, even to know a little bit more about the project, yeah, you can call me by email. Maybe should I say here the
Yeah.
email? It's Costa Andressa, COstaAndressa at yahoo.com.br as in Brazil, because people usually forget the BR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can connect with me or by the number 508-981-7341. So if you want to know a little bit more about the project or if you feel like you want to support it, please feel free to reach out to me.
Now, do you have a Facebook page yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so you're in the process of doing
Yes,
that.
doing
So
everything.
we will have everything below. So just so everybody knows, you'll have her email, you'll have her phone number, which is what
Yes.
she just gave.
Yeah.
And that way you guys can connect to her if you're interested in the project or supporting or finding out more information. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. It has been great. Andressa, thank you so much for coming on, showing us all the cool things you're doing with the kids. I love it. Thank you for being such a big supporter of our community. And for everyone else, make sure we're keeping unity in the community. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me today. Please be sure to follow us on Facebook at Sassy Autism Mom, on Instagram, Sassy Autism Mom, our website and blog, sassyautismmom.com. Now let's get out there and change the world.